Hello, everyone. We have with us here Ms. Pooja Kapadia, Head of Legal and Business Affairs at Tulsi. Hi, Pooja. How are you?
Hi, Anushree. How are you?
Great.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity. It's, I think, a lovely opportunity for us to discuss on, finishing 9 years of the Copyright Amendment Act, and let's really look forward to how this amendment is shaped after 9 years and how it has helped writers, musicians, etc. So it's a great place to come back to and like reminisce in the past and see what it holds in the future.
Right. So, Pooja, for most of us in our age bracket, I would say the amendment kind of holds a very special place because it was introduced around the time when we all graduated, and we've kind of lived our professional journeys through it. So what are your thoughts on? Do you think the amendment has achieved the objective with which it came into place?
I think the amendment in 2012 was definitely forward-looking. One of the intentions is also to somewhere bring it at par with the international standards and how it's looked at internationally as to protecting rights for, say, performers, say, musicians, say, authors, etc. However, when the law came out, I think a certain part of it, which was disappointing, or 9 years after also, which is a little worrisome, is the fact that the implementation, in my opinion at least, hasn't been fully achieved the way it was intended to at that period of time. And while definitely there has been a positive movement towards it, at least to a certain extent in the music industry, where I stand when we're representing writers, there seems to be a certain lack of clarity yet today, when it comes to royalties or what amount of royalties could be attributable to the writers for the work they are doing, or when it comes to even credits when it comes to moral rights. And while there is jurisprudence talking about moral rights not being assignable, waiving your rights to credits is something which is, when you talk to writers, they're very particular and it's very close to their heart, because that's a lot of time and effort they have invested in it. So I think some of these things could be better clarified if we are in the new amendment which may come. But from the 2012, I think these are a few things more from a writer-centric perspective I would see missing from an enforcement point of view, at least.
So, since Tulsi has, is one of the leading agencies when it comes to representing writers, do you think that there's now like a growing awareness about the rights in terms of what rights do they have under the Copyright Act? Do you think that awareness is rising now?
Absolutely. I think in general with talent, say writers, say directors, say, technical talent as well, there's a good amount of awareness that's increasing over a period of time with respect to copyright as a whole, their rights for the kind of work they are doing. And, over the last few years, I've seen the kind of questions that a writer has started to ask and, push back on also, or request for, because when they see internationally, and today the OTT platforms, I think one of the best things is content is not now limited to only India. Definitely during theatrical release, it was not like limited to India only. There were theatrical releases as well, but with OTT, I think the access to Indian content has also become more far-reaching. And we don't have borders anymore when it comes to content. So they have definitely started looking outwards, seeing what is happening internationally, and questioning their rights from an Indian point of view as well, as to why not us or why not this. So yes, I would say awareness has increased substantially over the last couple of years amongst writers.
And do you see, because since it's been almost 9 years now, and a lot of provisions in terms of authors of literary works have just remained on paper. Do you see it moving towards an implementation stage?
I'm really hopeful towards it, honestly, when it comes to a proper copyright, a society basically representing writers, which is registered under the copyright laws. Once I think that is in place, I genuinely do believe that the next step would be an enforcement towards the rights when it comes around royalties, etc. So that is something I definitely see very close down the horizon, and it's not something anyone should push any further. And I think the various stakeholders in the industry should come together to put it forward so that it's fair and balanced for everyone. We understand the lack of clarity makes it uncertain, not only for writers, but even say for a producer or an OTT today, because you do not know what it how much money you may have to pay at a later date, and it's only fair then for them to protect themselves. So it's better to have something fair and balanced as of now sooner than later, so that there is clarity amongst everyone in this space.
Right, right. Um, and Pooja, I mean, while you've already covered it, but just on a concluding remark, so if you have to pick up some certain provisions which you would like to be introduced, or any changes in specific which you would want there to be in a Copyright Act to make it better, what would it be?
So I think, as I mentioned, right, when I think somewhere more clarity on enforcement of the provisions around royalty in the rules, and I think I'm not, as of date, what is important is not only to look at OTTs and as of today, but I think our future holds a lot of VR technologies. The way of watching content, probably a few years back, we never thought we'd be watching on our cell phones on OTT platforms. So the amendment should be somewhere a little more agnostic to the various forms of technology, and just more focused on the content that is created by the talent, and means of broadcast, means of commercializing or exploitation should be across platforms, so that it's with changing times, you can't keep amending the law very regularly for something like this. So to avoid this confusion, to avoid constant changes, it would be nice to see law being a little more agnostic to the various forms of technology.
Thank you for your thoughts, Pooja. It was great to have this discussion with you.
Thank you so much for getting Tulsi over here and letting us have a say in our thoughts as well.
Thank you so much.